Welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams Birch, and this podcast, it exists for you. Whether you're a music lover, an educator, a choir member, each week we bring guests to the show to help explore what matters in music. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. Hello, and welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emmy Birch, and this episode is with one of our returning guests, Erik Jacobs. And it was super intentional in the planning. When we're recording it, it's November-ish, December-ish, and I'm in full-fledged syllabi. And let me just be honest, I have no desire to rewrite syllabi right now. And I just was not excited to pick all my music for winter quarter. And you know what I needed? I needed some Erik time. And so I intentionally scheduled this so that we could share in what happens when two friends, two colleagues just debrief. And y'all, there are some nuggets of wisdom coming at you. It is the perfect kickoff episode for 2026. So this episode is brought to you by our friends at Perform International. They make tours possible, and we do talk about tours at the end of this episode. But I think it's just a really great conversation. So whether you're feeling excited or nervous or burned out or tired or whatever, this episode is designed for you. And I hope that you enjoy. My friend, Erik Jacobs. Okay, today on the podcast, we have one of my favorite returning guests. I've been so excited for this episode. It's Erik Jacobs with the Slick Corral.
That's right. We say slick. You could say Sly Corral.
Because it stands for South Loudon Youth Corral.
Corral, yes.
Yes.
And,
bonus points for me.
Yeah. And the name was like a super intentional thing because at first we thought geographically we're just going to be in like this small area of our county. That didn't turn out to be the case, but we like slick. We think slick is a cool acronym.
Sounds pretty slick.
Yeah. And we do, we have like our core values. We say get slick. And so the kids all learn, hey, are you getting slick today? Like, how do you hashtag get slick? And so it's to serve, lead, spread joy, and care. And
that's precious.
Yeah. And Emmy, I wrote a song called The Slick Song.
Are we about to hear it? Are you going to sing it for us?
Me. It goes like this. Hold on. So I need to set the okay, you got to have like a piano and the piano comes in. It's like do 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 boo ba boo boo boo. And then I come in and I say, S is to serve our community. L is for leaders like you and me. R-Y is to spread joy everywhere. And C is to show we care. And if you are still on the podcast listening.
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much for indulging me.
I loved it. Are you kidding?
Yeah, so but perfect. It's our summer camp song, and I just want you to picture like elementary babies singing it, and it's a little round, like very Von Trapp style. We have a video of it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll put it in the episode.
Super cute. Yeah.
I think that type of stuff is what keeps us like creatives alive, though. I mean, the number of times that I haphazardly music improv some type of chord progression to teach a concept in music theory, and all the students are like huge eyeballs, like, you just made that up? I'm like, what else was I gonna do? Where else am I flexing my creative brains right now?
You know, first of all, I think you're so good at that. I love your creativity in the teaching space, and I've definitely borrowed so much from you in that space.
Thank you.
And I think that for me, the past year, something I'm really starting to think about, and maybe this is something we can talk about, is like what brings you joy in this job? Because there's so many facets to the job. And what I have learned about myself, and I don't even know why it took me so long to realize, is I'm at my happiest and most fulfilled when I'm being creative, when I'm having those opportunities to compose or arrange, which I get to do a little bit of with Slick, and I really want to do more, but I just have no time. Or it's like, yeah, or like, I don't know if you feel this way about putting on concerts and shows and just the programming of it and coming up with the themes and, the creativity aspect of it. We do, Wheeler Course does this show called Choir Palooza in the spring where we come up with different themes and deciding the flow of the show and the songs. And I end up making all the arrangements for that. And it's just so fun so creativity is where I'm the most happy, and I'm definitely the least happy when I'm like spreadsheets and auto summing and that whole thing, you
I
know.
know. I mean, this is exactly why I thought you'd be the perfect episode to just unpack what is it that we're doing. We just finished the fall. This is coming out the start of the next year. And I think it's so important not just to set New Year's resolutions, but to be reflective. And what you just asked, what brings you joy in this job, is so
Yes.
important. And it's something we talk about all the time in the classroom. I mean, I have college
Yeah.
students, but we talk about it like, why are you here? What are you getting out of this class? I mean, I break it down to how much it costs for every minute they're sitting in those seats. And how are you getting your money's worth?
Valid. And I think especially to ask that in January, because I don't know about you, but I'm in Virginia, Northern Virginia. January comes with gray weather. You're coming off of a typical really busy winter concert season, which is like, those seasons in our life fill our cup and take from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's exhausting but also fulfilling. And then you're getting back in the classroom, you're getting back in the swing of it, and there's a part of it that's excitement, and there's a part of it that's still you're just like maybe fighting burnout a little bit, and reconnecting to that why, figuring out those creative things that are going to keep you, or if it's not creativity, then what is it for you, is
Mm-hmm.
really important.
I think
So
that's so crucial. We don't know who's going to be in the choir space. So that's one of the really cool things about this project. My choir is a project. It's not a class. No one gets credit for it. It meets for an hour and a half twice a week. Totally volunteer project. So we have signups, but I don't really know how many students are going to be there. I have no idea. They come at two different sections because we don't have a room big enough for everybody. So I never know which group's going to be like more altos or like, and it kind of evolves because the students can choose to come to either one that works with their schedule that week. So they kind of mix and match. And sometimes they'll come to two if they're having a hard time with the song. It's so organic. And I cannot plan for any of it. And at first I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't plan for any of it. Now I'm obsessed with that quote improvisation of the whole thing. I come in with my rehearsal plan and like a general idea of music, and then it just becomes what that group needs. And I love it. It is so much
yeah,
fun.
I'm so glad you brought up the SCAD choir. Is that what you call it?
We call
Or
it the university choir, but yeah, it's totally the
the
SCAD choir. It's so
the
fun.
u- university choir.
Yes, so
I
formal.
have loved your updates online, and I have been just curious about what, because it feels like a very creative thing for you to start this, because you and I have spoken about your role in SCAD and the classes you teach, such a wide diversity of classes, and you do so many different things there. What was the, so I'm just my own personal curiosity.
Yeah, ask away.
What was the impetus to begin it? Um, and like, talk us through some of those creative challenges and maybe the ways that you rose to the occasion, or used creativity to make it happen, because I the little bit that I've seen online has looked amazing, and also those students just look like they absolutely love it. So maybe talk through that for me, because I want to hear
Yeah. Oh,
about
you're
it.
so sweet to ask. I think that it's perfectly aligned to what we're talking about because if you had asked me last fall, because it all started a year ago, if you had asked me last fall, I'd be like, yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm teaching 4 classes, whatever, impacting 160 students every quarter, whatever. But last fall, they had a really big influx of people audition for the two audition ensembles. And those are really specific here at SCAD. There's an executive ensemble, which is small. Think pop superstars, singing, dancing. They're like our major varsity team because we don't have a lot of,
Mhm.
we have intramural sports. And then we have a larger ensemble called the Performance Ensemble. Think future Broadway superstars. For the most part, they are learning how to be in an ensemble. They're supporting those roles. They're getting some really high quality coaching twice a week. Both of those are classes. And so they had just this massive amount of students apply and audition for these two ensembles. And the dean just called me and was like, do you want to see the audition tapes? And I was like, no. And I'll never forget her and the chair of acting, both of their heads just tilted. And they were like, why not? And they just could not comprehend. And I'm like, that is the one thing that I possess. I can teach anybody to be in a singing ensemble. And they just could not fathom that. And it was so interesting. So we put on a we have these workshops that SCAD does every Friday because we don't have classes. And the workshops are like, learn to paint, learn to pottery. And I'm like, y'all come sing. We had 40 or 50 people come to that. And so we started officially started as an ensemble winter quarter of last year. And it's been I think what you're seeing on social, it's twofold. One, I have two students who their future careers is that. Like
Yes.
all of their classes are digital media marketing and influencers in training. They are fabulous. And
Send them my way when they're out of
oh
school.
my gosh, aren't they like literally one of them came up and said, "Can this please be my senior project?" And I'm like, "Aren't you a sophomore?" And
Oh
she's
my
like,
gosh.
"Yes, I'd like to build this brand for you. May I do that?" I'm like,
We love
uh-huh.
those kids. Oh
It
my
was so
gosh.
cool. And then she had another one came up, and like the first student, fabulous, was very much digital media marketing, wants to be a huge lead marketing at a PR firm in some massive city, versus my second person, because they do everything together, is all social media marketing and is all about just like following the trends and following the follows. So the cool part, and I hope this doesn't get me in trouble. The cool part is that our social was so active and vibrant that we out followed the performance ensemble. Like we had more followers.
Wow.
So then all of a sudden you started seeing like little notes about the other ensembles kicking up their game. And it wasn't like
Wow.
we were trying, we were just sharing what was happening in the space. Because I think when you go through struggles, there's that really fine line of what you can share transparently and what you can't. And I think the struggle of forming an ensemble, the struggle of picking music that works, we couldn't find a space big enough. There was just things that happened in just the natural everyday life of working in a system. And instead of us getting angry, because there's no point in that, we're still coming together and singing. It was like, okay, here's a speed bump. Let's speed bump over it together. And so we've just bonded. So I think a lot of what you're seeing in those posts are we have gone through stuff to make this organization happen, this project happen. And instead of people leaving every quarter, they might have to take a class, but they come back. Or they come back
Mm.
with friends, or they send their friends and they're like, don't worry, I'm going to be back next fall. And that type of, it's like once you're in it, you're already always connected to it. And so that's been such a thing I didn't think about, is what type of impact would we have on the lives of the students? And we
Mm.
know we have that impact, but I don't think I've ever seen it said so loudly, because I am working at a school of very intense creatives and they're not afraid to say what they're feeling.
Well, first of all, bravo. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thanks.
And I think that's so cool. I mean, just what you said speaks to the power of choir and what we
Yeah,
do, right? I
right.
mean, even in a space where you work with these creatives that are there in this hyper focused curriculum where they are just really into what they're doing, and just are probably the at the top of their game in whatever it is they're doing, whether that's singing or something else, to still have that desire to come together and sing, and the creative solutions to I love that you said, instead of getting frustrated about the problems or the obstacles, we're just like, what's the creative solution to this?
Mhm.
And I had a professor in college who said something, and it was like in the context of uh, a piece I was approaching and learning. And he said, for every problem, there's a musical solution. You know, when you get to the end of a phrase and you're out of breath because it's just like, or you need more breath to get through this and it's a long passage, make your own slow down, pause, take a breath, find a creative musical solution for that problem. And I've tried to approach that in my career. It's like, okay, when there is a problem presented, what's the creative solution to this?
Yep.
Instead of getting frustrated. And a lot of times, those points of friction can be the points of the biggest impacts of joy, you know?
Absolutely. Let's say that again. The points of friction can become the biggest aspects of joy.
Yeah.
So my granny is like my biggest fan. I love her to pieces. We talk every single day. She's amazing. So she's watched the concert. As soon as we get the recordings, because we have like a professional video person who records everything we do in the department. And they sent me all the videos, and I smashed it together and put it on the YouTube for Granny to see. And,
Oh.
you know, she's adorable. So she's already watched it 4 times, and they're watching it again on a different device because she's decided it sounds different on this computer versus that TV. So she watches it multiple times, and it's so cute. And so her biggest like epiphany, she was like, well, not only were they just all so exciting to watch, no one bumped into each other. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand. And for us, like, I needed that concert to move really swiftly because I always like to have some type of collaboration. So we brought in, we had 4 solos, 2 from the 2 other ensembles. So we were representing the other ensembles without bringing the full ensemble into the concert. And it also gave, because I'm working with developing voices, these are mostly singers for the first time, or they've only sang in high school choir, or not only sang, but they aren't singing every single day. So I don't want to overtax their voice. So I want to break between my sets of music. So we bring in these solos, but that means I need to get 80 people off this itty bitty teeny tiny stage, because we don't have a huge performance venue, teeny tiny stage, and out the doors with 0 time. So everything is choreographed. And it was so funny because we couldn't get in the space to rehearse until like the week of the concert. And
Stressful.
keep in mind, we don't, we just thought this was the funniest thing ever. Like, we just giggled about it nonstop. I'm like, don't worry, we're not going to all be on the stage until the actual concert, and it's going to be hilarious. Don't die. Like, nobody fall down the stairs. Nobody, like, don't kill anybody. Always act like you know where you're going. That's a life skill, right?
Oh my gosh.
So we talk about it all the time. And so what we would do is I had one of my production design students measure the stage. And then we put little teeny tiny pieces of tape on the floors in the 2 different places we rehearse so we could visualize how big the stage is, because it's super tiny. And we practiced every opening, like every single rehearsal, we practiced the opening and the closing of every set. And sometimes we'd practice the middle. But that way they hadn't been in the space, but they knew when to move.
I love
no one
that.
bumped into each other.
Bravo, we love that, and Nana approves. So,
yes, absolutely.
And you know what? If you've got any young choir directors or people who are just new to the profession, I will tell you that one of the biggest game changers for me, because I come from instrumental world, and the instrumental world does not think about transitions. We don't think about those things, like you set it up and you play and then you tear it down, right? But I am very lucky in the South Latin Youth Chorale, in which I work with our artistic director, Laura Lazarovich, and our executive director, Lisa Newton, who are just 2 of the most brilliant logistic-brained people I know. And I've known Laura forever, from back to when my middle school program fed into her high school program. And the questions around, we would do combined concerts. And the questions surrounding the concert was never about the music programmed, or it was always like, okay, so this is where your students are going to sit. I need to know exactly how many kids there are. I need you to give me their heights. And then they're going to move to this spot in exactly 3 minutes, 46 seconds into the first set. And then from this spot, they're going to move to this stage. And like, it just that level of detail. And I will tell you that logistics, so I'm a military guy. My background's military, and they say that like good generals discuss tactics and great generals discuss logistics. It's like, how are you going to feed your army? How are you going to move your army? And I think about that with choir directing. There are those people we know who are just so into the creative space and and I am one of them. Like, I love planning the concert and the programming and the songs and all that stuff. But it's the logistical details of how you're going to move kids, how you're going to get them to where they're going to go. Those little details that really make a great performance. And our past spring, South Latin Youth Chorale did this huge collaboration called Illuminare. We like fancy names around here. And we did it at this big performing arts hall with 2 other professional adult groups. And it was going to be 300 musicians on stage with all of our kids. And a ton of music programmed. Probably, I think at one point, 2.5 hours or something of music that was programmed. But with the whittling down and the logistical prowess of Lisa Newton, our executive director, with intermission, it was like an hour and a half. And it was like the best thing. So
Perfect.
anyway, I
That's so
could talk all
important.
day about that, but
But I think if you have those transitions planned, like if the students know when they're going, where they're going, why they're going, I think the why is also really important because sometimes we don't tell them why they're going someplace. Then they can just, when they're in the spot, they get so much more emotive and creative. We had like every set had big circle, we quote choir formation, and then exit strategy. That way,
nice.
it was a combination of not having enough space on the stage. And I wanted everyone to be seen because I think, in addition to like our program has everyone's headshots in it, I think it's also just so important that everyone's kind of rotating through being in the front because in an acting world, that's sometimes the only time they're going to be seen or on a stage. And that's really, really important to me with this ensemble. But they would know which formation they were in. And when they got to that spot, you would just see, like, I've arrived, and they would just, it was so emotive. Like we sang
Wow.
the everything was about lights, so we did like, you know, a K-pop Demon Hunter song followed by a gospel song because, you know, I wanted to cause ear whiplash on this concert. So that's a whole different story. But we sang Susan Labar's Where the Light Begins. The SATB
Love it.
arrangement is stunner. I've only ever done the treble till this year, and oh my goodness, I loved it. Those tenor basses, perfectly written for them. But we were singing that,
Beautiful.
and I just remember my little, you know, motivational speech before was, whatever happens today, be in every moment. Don't be in the
Mm.
next song, don't be in the prior song, just be in that exact beat at that exact moment, and I will meet you there. Because I also wanted to be in the moment. I feel like sometimes you get to the end of the concert and you don't remember any of it. So like I had a
Yeah.
little sticky note on my, I stand behind a chair, long story, but space is the issue, and I had a little sticky note stuck on it that was like, in the moment. And I just
Mm.
remember looking up, and just every one of these faces was in that moment of that song, in their random spaces that they've never stood in before because we'd never all been on stage before. And it was just magic because it's the process through which we learn the music that changes them
Mhm.
educationally. It's the process of singing with others that change them emotionally. And then it's the sharing of all of that out into the audience that combines and just changes your whole system, if you think of it in that way.
I mean, name other spaces in which we have to be as hyper focused on the moment than standing on a stage with a choir.
Mm,
It's, and that is something I think about a lot in terms of, I don't know, my relationship with teaching music and chorus and this whole thing. I mean, anybody who's done this job has gone through a whirlwind of emotions, and um, my favorite mantra is it's just choir,
I
and
say that all the time.
yeah, yeah, I say that all the time too because I think we can get super wrapped up into things and maybe a little ego thrown in there, and it's just choir at the end of the day, but also it is choir. And I
Mhm,
think that there is a flip side to this where, without being hyperbolic, it can be real life changing.
mhm,
And just like how many 20-year-olds are in the moment,
right.
where you're not thinking about the thing you just did or where you're going to, or even for me, it's middle school. I teach primarily sixth through ninth grade voices. And for me, it's I've got them for 30 seconds and then they're
Mhm,
gone. And
mhm,
so it is like so interesting. And the challenge for me is like to keep them here because they're here for a minute and then they're
mhm.
there.
Woo!
Yeah,
Everywhere.
yeah.
Keep
So
that
that
focus, like you don't get it anyplace else. And if we go back to the original question that I asked you way back at the beginning, I knew this would be the easiest conversation ever, by the way. We've already identified like two things we can go into this next part of the year, the next part of the school year, of the calendar year, whatever you're looking at. Like, one, where are you being creative? And how can you
Mm,
turn that on, reflect that in a different direction, or find space for that? Because I think the lack of creativity is what's leading to a lot of burnout. And then two, transitions in life, transitions in your concert, transitions in your classroom, transitions. Because that's where you
yes.
make space for the third point we've already found, which is being present. Look at that.
Boom. Look at that.
Points.
Beautiful. I love I you talked about this in the winter semester. You started this thing that this choir program that was able to give you space to be creative. And it reminds me of my own journey where my background is instrumental. I'm a trombone player. And, the first 5 or 6 years I was in a middle school choir classroom, I was just trying to learn how to do this job. But there came a time where I started to feel a little bored. I was like, hey, it's this winter and I've just got back from winter and from winter break. And I distinctly remember this feeling of, I can't just do like another spring choir concert. I just can't do the same thing. We do this festival assessment thing that everybody does, and that's just this hyper focused choir thing. And I just wanted to have fun with the kids. And my background with being a trombone player is, for a long time I was playing on weekends with the Bachelor Boys band. I'm gonna plug if you're in the DMV area and you need a really killer like band for your wedding or event, call the Bachelor Boys because these guys are all like DC national band guys, and then me,
What?
who's like a trombone player on the weekends, and then a choir director in the middle school classroom. I was just really lucky to play with this group. And it just gave me access to this network of insane musicians. And so I said, do you want to come and be a house band for my middle school choir show? And I'll pay you some money to like play some of the wedding tunes we do. And it was a big hit. And I made every mistake in the book. At one point, I tried to use a fog machine, triggered the fire alarm, evacuated 200 kids. The fire department came. That was a fun conversation with my principal. But um, I like made every mistake there was.
Good.
Started jokingly calling it Choir Palooza because it was just this big, ridiculous show. And now it's Choir Palooza, this big, ridiculous show. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like our superintendent of schools comes to this thing and we sell out 1,000 seats and we have a huge house band and the kids, it's like such an anticipated community moment. And that all was born out of this desire to find a way to take something that I cherish and I love, which is this other musical side of me, and then marry it with my job and
Mm-hmm.
then be creative in the process. And now I have Choir Palooza. Now you have a choir at SCAD. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe another pillar to this January thing is like, when you're trying to be creative, look into yourself and the things that you truly value and you need, and you see a need in your community and your school, and then give it that. And that could be a good starting point.
Absolutely. I think sometimes it's so scary just to jump and to do the thing and to risk failure. But every failure is still forward. You're learning from it. Like had I not started or been a part of all the choirs before this, I would have never been able to start this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Yeah.
think of all the things that we've done better because we've had these other experiences. And so I think for someone listening that's like, oh, I don't have a space to do that, or I don't have time to do that, you just got to figure out your thing. And it's just choir.
Yes. It's just choir. But I do love the idea of failing forward. And it's something that again, because I work with middle school kids and I'm kind of at the entry level of this musical thing. We just got done with our all district honor choir auditions where our kids, for the first time ever, have to do a blind live audition. They've never done one before. So a seventh grader is walking into a room with people who are going to listen to them and give them a score. And that is just so scary for a middle schooler to do and to expose themselves and put themselves out there. But that's a life scare. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just a middle schooler, it's a 20-year-old too,
Mm-hmm.
who's
Absolutely.
just super concerned about, oh, what if I fail? What if people know that I failed? And I'm here to tell you, just like I'm in the era of my life where the
Nobody
more I
cares.
fail, the more I fail, the better, because I learn from failure and I know that's where I get better.
Mm-hmm.
So go out there and fail big, fail
Mm-hmm.
epically, learn from it, pick yourself up, do it
And
again,
keep
do it
going.
a little better
And
this time.
like nobody really cares. They're all busy. Like we're all just trying to survive and be present in our moments. So like nobody cares.
It's just
I think that's the best. And it is life changing. And it's such a great part of life that we have to be a part of every day. Like, I'm after this recording, I have a meeting with a student who is a sound design major, a music composition minor, and game audio might actually have switched to gaming. Anyway, they're
Mm.
creating a game, and there's a Dr. Birch mode on it because one of us is not very good at video games. That's me. But on the side, they transcribed the entire Halo theme for choir. So we're going to
Wow.
do a Halo choir arrangement in winter quarter. And I'm really
That's
excited about
amazing.
it. But we're meeting today to like look at what it looks like. Will it fit the voices that we think we're going to have? How can we adapt it once we figure out what voices we'll actually have? And this person had never sung in choir before. And I was like, why don't you just come sing fall quarter, get to know the tenors and basses, see what their ranges are? Because they were asking all those questions. So they come, right? And I
Hmm.
wish that I had had a personal camera on their face for the whole, like the first choir retreat. I swear this kid's teeth were going to come out. They were smiling so big. And then we have the actual concert, and there were like fan kids there supporting them. And like every photo of the concert, it is like the biggest smile. And then they came to visit me the next day in class to tell me, like, that was the coolest thing ever. Like, cool. I'm so
That's
glad at
amazing.
22 we could have our first choir experience. And I think we forget that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're never too old to start singing, and
No.
and just like you're never too far along in this career of yours, whatever that is, to be creative and to allow the thing that brings you joy to impact what you're doing in the classroom, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because when I stopped trying to be someone else and this is,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's cliche because we've heard it so much, but when I stopped trying to be other people and I stopped trying to be a choir director, I wasn't, because I'm a trombone player, and I just started embracing who I was. That's when cool stuff started happening,
You got to say
and
that too for those people in the back. Like, you don't have to be anybody else but you because you're the only you there is. So do it your way.
there's space here for everybody. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
another big thing I'm in my heart with choir is, I'm about to go to my state conference, and I'm sure I'm going to sit around a table where we're going to have a discussion about what is the right approach to music pedagogy and what's the wrong approach, and are you doing enough literacy, and are you, a good teacher or a bad teacher? And and I think these value systems we place, I just, I don't know. I feel in my heart I'm a little more like there's space in this job for everybody to do
In
how they
every
want it.
approach. Yes.
Yeah, every approach. Yeah.
Absolutely. There are going to be people that are like, "Oh, I don't, like, I'm here for the music. Good. You show
Yes,
up
we
for that
need you.
music. We need you in this world. So you don't want to do pop music. So you don't want to do K-pop Demon Hunters on your next
Right.
concert. That's okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great. You do you. And I think that is such a good thing. I'm just sitting here like so excited about finishing my winter quarter repertoire now that we've talked. And I knew that's what I needed. Like, I just needed to
Mm,
talk to a good friend and just
mm.
unpack the good, the challenge, the tiredness of a fall quarter, and then
So
just,
tired.
oh my gosh, so tired. And then just reflect on, oh my gosh, but it was fun. And
Yeah.
here are the things we did well, and we get to do it all over again. How cool is
Well,
that?
and to circle back to your social media comment, and you said something about like how your brand kind of like started taking off, and then this other brand was a little bit like, huh, I guess we gotta like up it a little bit, and then they started taking off.
Mm-hmm.
Rising tides lift all boats in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that I love about social media, which is not much, I have to like be honest with you, I'm this reluctant social media person who kind of fell backwards into my role with social media. But like the moment I can grab one of your SCAD kids and give them a job and not have to ever do it again, I will be off the grid, Emmy.
Deal.
Like I'll be off the grid, Emmy.
Deal.
But for me, I will sometimes go back into my social media, like the Southland Youth Chorale, Willard Chorus, and I'll look at, wow, you know what? We did a lot of cool stuff. And at the time, it felt super stressful because it is hard to be a choir director in the moment on a big production night where you've got six choirs to get through on stage and a lot of repertoire to get through, and you're worried about transitions and all the stuff we talked about. And sometimes if you struggle to be in the moment, it's okay because we all do. But at the end, go back and look at it and go, you know what? That was cool. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that I got to do that. And the kids really loved it. And I'm grateful that I have that memory. So,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what a perfect way to like kick off the next year. We
Yeah.
make sure you have time to be creative, work on those transitions, make sure that you are present and fail forward in whatever it is you're
Hmm.
doing. And I
Yeah.
think just reflecting on those, I feel so much more excited.
Me too. Oh my
This
gosh.
was
Thank you
great.
so much.
Oh my
Yeah. It
gosh,
was so
I
fun to do
knew you'd be the
this.
perfect person to talk to. I'm also very excited, y'all. Eric and the whole crew of Sly Corral are going to Ireland. I'm stoked.
Yay.
And I can't wait to see how we loop back and talk about that because I think travel is something else that just changes your world. And so
Yes.
figuring out how to get out of the building, how to get out of your normal to experience something else with everyone. I'll leave you with one final story if you have time. Do you have time?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I had a class that was really divided this quarter where they removed the prerequisite for the class. And so there was a really big gap between those who could and those who couldn't do this class. It was a sight
Mm.
singing class.
Mm.
And at the beginning, I was like, holy smokes, I don't even know how I'm going to do this. But you know, the students teach you just as much as you teach them in how they
Yeah.
ask questions and how they approach it. And I knew if we could just celebrate the progress by the time we got to like week 6 or 7. So I found a field trip. I found a
Week
local
six or
six
seven.
or
Sorry,
seven.
you
No, I
did
got it.
it.
I
You
got
did
it. I
it.
did it. I did it. I kind of tossed that up for you. So I found a local church and just an absolute musical mastermind over there. And we went and did a little field trip and got to sight sing out of all these different hymnals guided by this hymn expert telling us why we could sight sing this but not sight sing that and finding dough. And you just watched every one of their light bulbs like, oh, I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And then I walked them on purpose, like a different direction back. And we stopped at the little Savannah Candy Kitchen and everyone got ice cream and snacky snacks. And that class changed
Wow.
immediately. You watched if they were one color, they were a different color. Like if they were a purple class, they were blue in a positive way,
Mm.
by the way. And just watching that transition was so cool just because we got out of the classroom. And I think
That's
you're doing that with Ireland. You're getting out of the classroom and the change is going to be so vibrant when you get back.
well. Well, I want to leave you with a little something and your listeners with a plug, and I will always plug this to the heavens. But when we started the South Loudon Youth Chorale, there were two books that quickly became our Bible. The first one was the Barber Tag Before the Singing, and then the second one was the Business of Choir with you and Alex Gardner. And
That's so sweet.
I still have in my Google Drive my Cliff Notes that I wrote because I like
That's
wrote
so
a
great.
ton of stuff. And um, one of my big takeaways from one of my several takeaways from both of those books is I don't remember if it was you or Barbara that talked about this, but the concept of the 1, 2, 3 for traveling, or tours, which is every year you should do some kind of thing, but the
Mm-hmm.
first year should be local, the second year should
Mm-hmm.
be state or in the states,
Mm-hmm.
third year should be international and just a thing. And so we talk about failing forward. That's what Sly Corral is. Like
Yes.
we have been really, this is our third concert season, and we're really, one of our big things that we were like, no matter how much we fail or succeed, we are gonna stick to this 1, 2, 3 thing. We went to New York City as our second year in the States traveling thing. That was our first time getting out, and it was such a transformative experience. We had an amazing moment where we caught a viral clip oh, do you even know this? I don't know if you know this.
No.
But I have to let you know that your introduction of Alex from Young New Yorkers Chorus, you introduced us. This is what you do. This is what Emmy does, everybody.
Yes.
She's the matchmaker.
I like
You
to meet
cat
people.
Yes, you casually introduced me to Alex, who is with the Young New Yorkers Chorus, and and I was happened to be planning a New York City trip. We it ended up happening. One of our days we were with Kirsten Oberoi in the South Shore Children's Chorus, and then also the Brooklyn Youth Choir. Then the next day we were with Alex in his space, which is St. Mary's Cathedral. It's a gorgeous space in Times Square, and Alex conducted Earth Song with our choir and his choir combined, and it was so beautiful. He put them in a circle in this sanctuary. It was so beautiful. I was like, you need to do that again, and I'm going to get my camera. And I took a video, and it went crazy viral. I think on our Slick Talk, which is what we call our TikTok page, the original video is up to over 400,000 views, but then
Whoa.
Daily Choirs picked it up, and I think that video's at 2.3 million. And it is such a cool experience to have made something that did that. But like, I always wondered if you knew about that, because
Mm-mm.
that little connection in Atlanta triggered this crazy viral moment
Yay.
in the choir world. So thank you for
So
that.
cool. You never know. You just never know. And had you not been present and heard it and be like, my little radar says, let's do that again. Like, you had to be
Yeah.
present in the moment to make that happen.
Yeah,
That's
so this
so
is my
cool.
plug to get your choir out traveling for sure. And we are working with a company that is amazing for our Ireland trip, that I will just say has been just super helpful for us as we've been planning this out. So
Been so fun. Well,
um,
they sponsor the podcast,
yeah.
so I'm
Oh,
extra
okay.
lovey-dovey of them. Yeah, they
Oh,
they
okay.
pay
I
all the
didn't know if
fees
you
to.
wanted. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. They are like so supportive of me doing this project. It's their way of kind of giving back to the education side of everything. And whether people travel or not, they're just such a supportive organization because of like what you're saying. They're like, okay, first
Yeah.
time traveler, let's answer all your questions.
They have been great, first time traveler. And also we kind of came in hot with a bunch of, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do that. And y'all have been so great, or they've been so great with just being so accommodating and helpful. And we can't wait. It's super
I'm so
fun.
excited. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for your trip. And I think this was the perfect conversation to kick off the year. Thank you, thank you, thank you for making time.
Thank you, Emmy. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it
Yes.
all the time. I always
Wait,
have the best time. So yeah, oh yeah, this is the new
you
one.
got to
Or
do the
even
new
hold
part.
on, if you want to be super cool, it's this.
Really? Because it's
And
like
then
the
they do
two
the other
fingers.
half.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the
So
two
I do
fingers.
this one, and
And
then
I'll
you
do
do
this one.
the, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, look at
Yeah,
how
it's
cute
like,
we are.
there you go.
Oh, we're
Okay.
winning. All right. What do you think? Weren't those so great? So we talked all about like finding your creativity, working those transitions, and that's like not just during the concert, friends. And then how to be present in the moment and to fail forward, and then just the power of getting out of the space. I don't know about you, but I'm going to finish editing this episode and get all my syllabi done and finish up all those repertoire ideas that I have swirling around, because sometimes you just need a really great talk with a friend and some nuggets of wisdom to get you to the next little moment in life. So, whatever you're doing right now, whatever thing you're working on, however you're feeling, you're enough just as you are, and you matter. We all know that music matters, especially choir world, because it's the bomb. And I'll talk to you next time.